Thanks for joining us today, guys. Really excited to be here. We're here at fullthrottlehouston.com, right off of Bel Air exit, off of Highway 59 near the Sharpstown Mall. Really excited to have our very first podcast here and for you guys to join us along our journey as we go through and live this life here as Texas boys. Guys, we are here with Mr. Sonny and Eve. Sonny, what's going on, sir?
How you doing, sir?
Man, good. You know, I've known you for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
I think I started in wireless and I was doing motorcycles, and, one of our friends, Fareed, recommended me to come and talk to you about,
Right.
bringing my skills here to Full Throttle. And I just want to say thanks for having me be a part of the team for so long. I've been here for so long and I'm really excited about that. Excited for you guys that are watching us today to join us as we talk about the creation of Full Throttle, where we come from, where Sonny has started from with his family. And we're going to go ahead and dive right into it. Sonny, tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's start there.
So, obviously, Sonny. Motorcycles has always been kind of like a passion. I got it from one of my friends back in 2004, if I'm not mistaken. And, just wanted to ride every bike I could get at the time, and here we are today.
Okay. So you didn't start off being like, hey, I'm going to start a motorcycle dealership.
No.
What industry were you in when you made that epiphany to actually start your own power sport dealership?
I was actually in wireless. I had Cricket stores and Boost stores and T-Mobile stores, and up until 2014, 15, and I started getting into bikes back in 2004 or 5. And, once again, I just wanted to ride every bike that first came out. I remember the S1000. I was crazy about it back in 2010, and I drove all the way out to Arkansas to pick up the Acid Gold that I really wanted to get. And, ever since then, I was pretty crazy about bikes up until I had a kid now. That's when things have changed a little bit. But besides that, yeah, I mean, that's what I wanted to do, always.
Okay. So tell us about the journey. I mean, you're working at wireless stores. You're like, hey, I'm going to get a power sport dealership.
Right.
How did you do that? What was the process of that?
So my dad was always in the gas stations,
Okay.
right? One of our stores in Bryan, Texas, I opened up my first wireless store there, ran it for a year. We sold the strip center, so I moved across the street. We bought that property. From then on, I bought another wireless store, then another, and then one in Houston. Within that time, I was in my 20s, and one of my buddies had a bike. He used to live in Spring, and we'd spend the night at his house. Saturday nights we'd just spend the night at his house, and I'd take his the Harley, what's it called, the sport touring Harley. Buell.
Okay.
Buell. He had a Buell, and I would take it down Cypresswood,
Okay.
and, I should ride it. Fast forward maybe a month or two later, he had a customer of his, and he was selling an 86 Yamaha something, right? He sold it to me for $650. And I bought it from him, and I left the bike at his house, at my friend's house, because I didn't want to bring it home. Fast forward another couple of months later, I brought it home. And my dad at the time was not too happy about this, right?
I bet.
Yeah, and especially, being, brown and stuff like that, right? I mean,
Right.
they don't know this. Long story short, he would go for his walks around the neighborhood, and I'd just kind of follow him on the bike. And, I saw that he opened up to it a little bit. Then I started riding it. Then I bought my first 2002 R6, the Delta box is what they used to call it, 2002. And at that time, I didn't know too much about bikes. I thought a bike with 27,000 miles was low miles when you compare it to a car.
Right.
Little did I know that 27,000 miles on a bike was considered high mileage. Bought it for, I think, $3,200 or something like that. This was back in 2005. Rode it for a month, sold it, and broke even, right? After registering it and all that. Then I bought something else. I think it was a 03 Gixxer All-Star Edition, or All-Stare, Alstare.
Okay.
The yellow and purple.
Okay.
Kept that.
I remember that one.
Kept that
Very
for
nice
about a
bike.
year, and sold that, and I think broke even on that as well. Then I bought a ZX6 Monster Edition. Kept that. Then I bought a CBR 600. Then I sold it, and I made money. And I would keep on buying bikes, and I would sell them. I'd make money just out of my garage. At one point, I had 6 bikes in my own garage at my house. And then I had another 7 or 8 bikes at one of my Cricket stores here on Bissonnette. Started to make sense, right? And I would have, major players at the time call me, wanted to buy my bikes. And I'd sell them around town here too. I think another 8 years went by me doing this, got a lot of experience, understood all that stuff, wholesaled a lot. Back in 2014, I had slowed down because I was involved in a different industry out of town. That's when I decided to go back into it. But at that time, I said, all right, I'll open up a retail store with wholesale prices.
Okay.
What I didn't understand was that there's a lot of repairs that goes into bikes. When you're selling them off the street, they're not retail. I mean, they could be retail ready, but, tires and stuff like that, you don't really think about. And your customer off the street is a whole different customer that walks into a dealership.
Right.
So that was the learning curve for me there. So I couldn't offer wholesale prices, at a retail store because your cost is just so much higher. Mm-hmm. So November 2014 was my first day of business as a retail store, which was right between Fountain View and Chimney Rock on 59. I rented out a little shed from my buddy, ran that for about a year, and that's when we moved over to the 59 location where you and I met. Mm-hmm. And out of there, I think we were selling like 70 or 80 units a month.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, sport bikes only.
It was a huge buzz. You guys always had custom bikes outside, chromed out, stretched. Yeah. You were the first dealership that, I moved here from San Francisco in 2012. Mm-hmm. So when that transition happened, I saw that dealership come up because I was living in the Galleria area right off of Yorktown. So it was right down the street from me. So it was like the closest dealership for me. I'd always step outside. I loved all the bikes you guys always had out there. I remember coming in there as a customer and just like, man, I can't wait. I can't wait till I get settled in Houston and I can buy a bike from here. Right. So I totally get that. So let's talk about your business acumen. Your guys' family business acumen is really high level. Mm-hmm. When you decided to put a business plan together to start that retail location, what was the big dream, right? Because we always have the big goal. What was your hey, I know I'm committing myself to this dealership. What was your dream then, and have you accomplished that now these years later?
Legacy was the dream, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I wanted to create a legacy. I wanted to have multiple stores and expand into the family. Okay. And I wanted to do certain other things that I'm still thinking about doing that I have not touched on yet. Mm-hmm. But maybe if things go well in the next 5 years, I think we'll get there.
Man, I'm really excited to see that happen. Tell us a little bit about, it's a family business, right? How old was your younger brother when you started this journey? And we're going to talk about his role now here at the dealership. But how old was he when he saw you starting to chase that passion?
I think he was like 13 maybe at the time. He didn't obviously know anything at that time. Right. He joined in maybe 5 or 6 years ago, maybe somewhere around that time. He would come in just to hang out and stuff. And at that time, obviously I was in my 20s and early 30s, so I could relate to all the people, even the people that were working there versus the customers. Now he can fit that position a lot better than I can because now I'm pushing 40, right? And he can relate to the people a lot better than I can. So I've seen that transition there too.
That's awesome. He's been a great addition. I've seen him when he first started coming into the street and, being out in the field, going on rides. And it's great to see you guys transform, your thought, your vision into actual reality. Yeah. What are some advice you would give new powersport dealers, people that are passionate about motorcycles to chasing this dream? What would you say their first couple of steps they need to get familiar with?
Things have changed drastically. I mean, it's not the same that it was before. Mm-hmm. I mean, back in the day, we could offer guaranteed financing for $2,000 or less as a down payment. Now that doesn't exist. When financing comes in and, with the banks tightening up and people going out of business and the economy the way it is, I mean, honestly speaking, I would say keep your cash in your pocket. And I've learned that the hard way. We've been through some ups and downs in the business. We've seen good things and bad. Now I don't care to carry 300 bikes at one location. I care to carry a solid 120 to 130, but a good solid 120 to 130. Gotcha. I don't mind replacing the product. I've always said you can always replace a customer. You can always replace a unit. You can never replace a customer. So we want to give the customer 110% of what we have. And if we have to take a special order in, which we still do, we'll do that. But it doesn't make sense with the trends, the way they're going. Back in the day, it was it was all sport bikes, all Gixxers and all Kawasaki's. Now you see Z900s and MT-07s and FZ09s, and there's a buyer out there for pretty much everything. Back in the day, it was either Harleys or the big four: Kawasaki, Suzuki, Honda, and Yamaha. Right now, Piaggio stepped it up quite a bit. MV's still trying. Right, back in the day, it wasn't like that. BMWs was a big thing. Now the ZX10s and BMWs compare neck and neck. Prices have gone up. Back in the day, people would buy a bike because cars were too expensive. Now bikes are more expensive than cars, right? So things have changed. That's why when I was in this business back then, it made sense to buy a bike because depending on somebody's situation.
Right.
Now that same situation has reversed. If I'm going to spend $20,000 or $18,000, dude, I could get a nice, decent car, right? If needed. Now, if I have extra money to spend, that's one thing. But if for my own primary mode of transportation, I can get a car now, right? So this is much more a toy than it was before. People used to buy bikes for their primary mode of transportation. Now they don't. And now people are smarter. The younger, the kids nowadays, like the Gen Z, right? All those people, they are smarter. They see things differently, right? They calculate. Back in our time, it wasn't like that.
Right, it's pure adrenaline rush. We were chasing the bike. That's what we were doing.
That was it, right? That was it. Everybody wanted to go to PP1, right?
Right.
That's and now things are definitely a lot more different. So if somebody wanted to get into any industry, regardless of whatever it was, you got to do your due diligence. You got to know which market you're entering in. We would assume, oh, hey, since we're in a metro city, everybody's the same. That's not true. Every market thinks differently.
Yeah.
Right? So, just do your research and do it 120%, because if you don't park your money in the right place, it's going to be gone.
What do you feel about finding OEM partners, like an OEM brand partner for, like, let's say someone wanted to start a new dealership. How do they go about doing that? I know there's a lot there. I would love for you to cover it as an owner, like, hey, location, how far away the other Kawasaki dealership is from you. There's a bunch of little rules in there. What's one of the good ones that you learned that you were like, oh man, I wish I would have known this from the very beginning? What would be one of those?
Location and everything else is secondary. The first thing is history.
Okay.
History. You got to have history.
Okay.
Because I know what I did. I used to sell over 1,000 bikes a year out of that Chimney Rock location. I was going out every week sourcing units from all around the country, right? And my numbers spoke volumes to those OEMs, which is the reason why we are where we are, right? And we're still moving towards finding more OEMs, and we have a lot of talks in the works at the moment with different partners, and hopefully within the next 60 to 90 days we'll get there.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I know we're Aprilia dealership. We have some RS660s here on the floor. We have the Extrema, the black one, and the blue one here, so anybody can take a look at those here in person. So really excited to have that. What is the next motorcycle you want to ride?
Man, I'm always going to be a fan of the BMWs.
You like BMWs?
The BMWs, yeah, man, the BMWs. That's the thing. But nowadays, unfortunately, I just don't have time to ride because I'm driving a lot and phone calls and this, that, and the other. But if I ever were to get time, it would be the CBR 1000 or the S1000 RR.
Okay.
Yeah. And probably the new Can-Ams and stuff. Those are pretty cool. And my favorite bike, sport touring, is probably still going to be the Z900. The Z900? I feel very comfortable in those.
Oh, man, I feel like it's everything you need right here, right?
Exactly.
There's not too little, not too much. I think it's a great, well-balanced made bike.
Absolutely.
I agree with you 100%. Okay, guys, really excited. We got to hear the story from Mr. Sonny Hanif today. We look forward to seeing you guys at our next episode here at FullThrottleHouston.com. And, guys, again, I'm Mr. Bryce. This is Sonny. We're going to be joining us later on throughout the episodes. We're going to be introducing you guys to the other members here at FullThrottleHouston.com as well. Again, guys, we have nationwide financing, and we can get you credit approved. If you do have challenge credit, nobody's turned down. We'll always have an option and a plan for you. So
absolutely.
Again, guys,
guaranteed.
come check us out, FullThrottleHouston.com. Bryce out.